This is Unmasked.
Like, there's been a lot of experimenting with this thing so far with different production things. Like when I first started this, I didn't even have that camera yet. I literally, everything was filmed on my phone, and I would film it like 1080, do a master shot, and then when I was going into post editing, I would just punch in and kind of switch the angles like that.
That'll work.
I had crappier microphones than I do now, so everything was 100% different. But over time, I've been able to like reinvest a little bit, learn little tips and tricks to make it look better. And so over time, like if you watch from the beginning, you can see the progression of the production stuff.
It's about the same thing with the acting class. 'Cause
Yeah.
with the acting class, I didn't even know what I was doing at all. You know what I mean? But then they're like, if you want to use it for Instagram, I know for auditions you want it landscape.
Yeah.
But when you're trying to post for reels or whatever, landscape, so you don't have to do whatever. So like, just like you said, then I bought this camera. So like you said, progression.
Right.
But you start having fun with it. So
Yeah. So I'm curious so you hit me up and you were mentioning that you had an acting class that you're pretty familiar with the industry yourself, doing all that. But then when we were talking, you're mentioning all these other businesses. So I'm a little curious on your background specifically of whether it's in production business. Who are you?
Romeo Brown, I'm from Oakland, California.
Okay.
Born and raised Oakland, California. Just to fast track you through it, played football
Okay.
like most black guys in high school. But did football. But I fell in love with drama in my junior year, and I only went to drama because I had to go back to my high school, and all the electives were out, and it was either Spanish or drama, and I figured the girls. They probably would have been both, but I picked drama, and there was a bug, and it just kind of hit me.
Okay.
So from that point on, I decided not to get a scholarship to play football. Went to Cal State Northridge, and that's where the acting started. But if you want to know where the entrepreneur side comes from, when I was coming up, the money was really, really good in commercials, like really good. I did a PlayStation 2. Reebok, Dr. Pepper, and there's something else. But
Okay.
I made almost about $280,000 that year. Yeah.
That year?
Commercials were making big money.
That was in 1 year.
Yeah, I mean, it's got to be like you kind of calculate it like a year and a half because you shoot it.
Right.
It's the residuals that would get you the money.
Okay.
So you don't go from the date of shooting.
Right.
You like the residuals is where you get your money. I may have made like $5,000 to $8,000 on the day or a couple days.
Yeah.
But those residual checks, and I mean, don't think everybody was getting that type of money. My Dr. Pepper commercial was with LL Cool J, and it was also with Run DMC.
Oh shit.
And it's very sad to say that the DJ from Run DMC or whatever, he got murdered, and that was the last thing they done together. So they ran that at the Super Bowl. They ran that at their honors. Like anything that was dealing with them to get, that was the last thing they done together. So those checks were just like, it was crazy. But I say that to say my father, which he passed away, he's still my hero, will always be. I was just spending money like a kid would.
Yeah.
And one day it was like, well, if you got all that money, don't come back to my house.
Really?
It's been one way. But like, the summer times, you're not in the dorms.
Yeah.
And he was serious. Call my mom. She was like, no, he's serious. And at that point, I was still trying to figure out who I was as a man. Right. And my dad has always been the man to me. So I was like, all right, fuck it. It's my time to challenge him. I got a little change. Bought the house. I bought the house and...
Bought his house?
No, I bought my house.
Oh,
I'm a kid.
Yeah.
He said, don't come to my house. He said, you the man now. You got money.
Yeah.
Do your thing then. Don't come here eating my food with my gas, with my water. If you buying cars, motorcycle, I was doing, hey man, I was a kid. I had to be like 21 or something, 22.
Okay, yeah, so you're still.
Yeah, so, but from that, so we just speed up the story. From that, once I did buy the house, it wasn't like I could buy a big one or whatever. I just bought what I could, and 3 or 4 months after I bought the house, my pop flew down, and he was like, whatever you want to swap out, change out, this is an investment because you're not always going to have that money. These commercials, all this stuff, you've been waiting to do this years. You just done this. Do you want to go back to living the way you were, or do you always want to have? And from that point on, I began to, like, every time I got big chunks of change, invest properties. I had a few Fiats, a bunch of Fiats, and I would just put them on Turo. I mean, multiple little things. And lastly, I owned a trucking company about 2.5 years that was doing very well. And, trials and tribulations.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that's what it is. The entrepreneur side of me has come from the necessity and desire to always be in the entertainment industry as an actor, as a producer, all those couple things, because it's not always going to be right there.
So your acting started in Oakland.
The acting started in Oakland, yes.
Okay.
No actual work, but the drama, theater,
Yeah.
where the love fell, yeah.
And did you already have an agent that was booking you for these commercials, or how?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah, you can't. Anybody who kind of tells you that they're doing work, and if they don't have an agent, is probably not on national TV.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And some of the stuff is now because the world has really kind of changed where non-union stuff's getting on. But when I was coming up, if you weren't union, you weren't on TV,
Right.
period. So, yeah, I had an
Yeah.
agent at that time and everything. So, yeah, it was good. It was a good time.
And who kind of taught you like the steps of like finding an agent, and then like, because even out here, the amount of people that get those big national commercials is very little. We have a lot of the casino stuff out here. We have credit unions, car dealerships, but very rarely do we have those big national commercials, PlayStation, Reebok, Pepsi, and all that kind of stuff, which ironic considering of how big Arizona is and the fact that we do have some really talented people. We do have some awesome crews and stuff, but I mean, just taking theater in high school and then immediately going from that to the big games and commercials.
No, absolutely not.
Yeah.
What I would say is what happened is I got to Cal State Northridge,
Okay.
and I'm thinking theater's the way. This is how I do it.
Gotcha.
I get to the campus, and within the first semester, I'm seeing dudes that I saw on series, and I'm like wigging out. Because Oakland, it was just like a fantasy.
Yeah.
Like you just see it on TV.
Right.
I don't know how many like people, celebrities or stars I'd ever seen or been able to touch back at home. You know what I mean? And I got here and there were people in my class that were in Skittles commercials. This person was just on like Moesha, and I'm seeing it. And it was the death of the imagination, because your imagination runs wild when they're on TV. It's just like, oh my God, da 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 da. But do you see the dude? He's smoking weed over there, talking shit. You're like, oh shit, you know? And you just start getting really cool with those people. And I'm from Oakland. Like Oakland, the Bay is always going to be what kind of made me, because they say it's rough and everything, especially when I was coming up.
Yeah.
But it's just so genuine. The culture there is just so down to earth. You know what I mean? So it was very easy for me to integrate myself into meeting the right people and doing this. And all the boys who were doing it, they're like, dude, get the fuck out of theater. I could take you to my acting class. And then from that point on, you just start kind of learning the ropes, kind of, because obviously they're African-American guys too.
Yeah.
Black, whatever you want to say. So they're giving you enough just so you don't look like an idiot. But also at the same time, they don't want to be in the same casting with you.
Right.
So you just gotta, at that time, you really just had to learn, be blessed enough to meet the right people. First and foremost, meet the right people. And I'll tell back to this, and that's why I'm so glad that I'm starting my acting studio and really helping people here.
Yeah.
Because I could tell they have no idea. They had no idea.
Right.
So what happened was I learned multiple ways to get into acting. I've met a bunch of acting coaches, and it all got me a little closer, but I was just always naturally talented. All these teachers were just giving me ideas of the way it was until I met one man, John Simmons. John Simmons, he had a plethora of celebrities that are still around today. Jesse Plemons, Nate Parker, Aaron Cahill, Chad Michael Murray. Like I could go, he overdoes it. He taught, when I say he taught like on Mr. Miyagi, what acting is, how you get to this, he taught you strictly the backstory and how to build a character, all the real things. When other people were just like, oh, you want to get to emotion? Has your grandmother died? No? How about your dog? Yes, my dog's died. My dog died. Okay, let's use that. So you're in the scene like, John saw me doing that. He said, what the fuck are you doing? I was like, I'm trying to get to emotion. He said, wow. I'm just trying to think about my dog. He's like, your girlfriend's breaking up with you. Why are you thinking about the dead dog? I was like, well, so these are the things that he kind of taught. But yeah, you just kind of make your way. But I would say just a short answer to your question is to get really, really lucky at meeting the right people to guide you so that by the time you get there, you're not exhausted. Because the acting game by itself will exhaust you.
Oh, yeah.
It's not easy. But could you imagine going 30 miles the wrong way and you barely got gas?
Going 30 miles in the wrong way.
Right.
That is something that I resonate with. And even being someone out here, I've never been really to LA. I've never gone out there, like gone to where the big dogs are for the industry. And so I have to rely personally on people that I meet here, the professionals out here, the teachers, other possible actors, other people like that out here that claim to know what they're doing, claim to say like, oh, I'm from LA, so I know this person, I know that person, I know how to navigate the industry, it's whatever, like, and you have to kind of trust their word. You have to be like, okay, like, which, I mean, I've been graceful enough to find some people that do have some stuff. Like my previous acting coach, her son was one of the main characters of Shameless. So that's when you said that you were on Shameless.
Yes.
I was like, oh, you've met Steve Howie.
Yeah, of course.
And like his mom was my coach and stuff. And so, and luckily I was able to get some really good insights on that. But with all that, it's still hard to know if you're making the right decisions, if you're doing the right stuff, and especially with how much the industry has changed over the years. What's worked 30 plus years ago, you don't know if it's going to work today. Right. You used to be able to just get a handful of headshots, go to a casting director and be like, hey, here you go. Can you represent me? Can you cast me in this? Can you do that? Now they don't want you. They're like, don't you dare stop by my office. Don't you dare mail me those headshots. Like, my DMs are flooded and all this, and like to submit even to representation. Mm-hmm. It's not as easy as just like calling up 20 of them like you used to be able to do. Now they're like,
actually, just to do snail mail it, you would have. There was actually a book that you could buy at Samuel French. My LA people or New York people will know.
Yeah.
But every month there was a agent's handbook. You know, some people there'd be new agents. There'll be agents that didn't exist anymore. But every month you'd have this book, and I'd send out 15 to 20 every month.
Really?
Every month, cover letter, headshot, and they were still black and white back then. Black and white. Oh, wait, I should have brought some of my headshots. What I'll do, I'll send you some so you could put some in between.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was every month. But what I will say, it's gotten harder, and it's also gotten easier.
Yes.
But I find that the generation that we're in now and a little bit before has just gotten really lazy. Mm-hmm. And I don't want to take shots at the generations because they can't help what has happened. Like,
right.
You know what I mean? Like now, this generation having GBT at their fingers. Mm-hmm. Us coming up, we didn't have an opportunity to do the things as easily. So we'll always have a better work ethic. If I didn't know where I was going when I left home, I was fucked. You're done. If you don't know which bus to get, if you don't have your homeboy, because then you have to get off the bus to go try to get the phone to go on. You know, you know. Now you late as hell because the next bus don't come for like. So we were just. I'm an '80s baby, so we really had to plan our shit out, and that's the same era with. Can't be mad, but your Tupacs, your Biggies, Jodeci. Look, everybody was so real back then. Yeah. Everything was who they said they were, when they said it. Instagram and all that stuff wasn't there. So to have what you thought you wanted, you really had to do it. It wasn't no way getting around it. It wasn't like I could make it look like something. It wasn't real.
I feel like the physical process is easier now.
Yes.
Obviously with like when you're submitting, you don't have to, like I knew people on other podcasts that like grew up in acting in like the 70s, 80s. They'd have to drive 3 hours every day to audition to somewhere. They'd have to do all this. And obviously now we're in a world of self-tapes to where you could just send self-tapes in. And I mean, obviously that's much easier, But with that comes that much more competition, which is, I think, where it gets more difficult. You have the competition of not just the local market like how it used to be, but you have the competition of the world now. You have like LA has now competition with everyone being able to submit instead of just those who are surrounding LA or in LA. You don't have to necessarily pack up all your stuff, move to LA
Absolutely.
with $30 in your pocket
Absolutely.
and try to figure it out now.
I mean, that's why do you think I'm here?
Yeah.
Like, I'm a working actor. I'm up for 2 projects now. I'm not the guy who needs to thirst for the attention of,
Right.
oh, I'm an actor and be in LA. So I already bought properties here. Like,
Okay.
I had 2, 3 properties back in 2021. My dad passed, I got another one or whatnot. But I always wanted to get out of LA.
Yeah.
I was there for 20 some odd years. And it gets old when everybody's an actor. And no matter
Yeah.
what you do, unless you're Black Panther or you're on some huge series, it's still like, oh, everybody's an actor.
Yeah.
So you get tired of that. So I actually wanted to like separate myself from that because I have been a businessman for a while now. You know what I mean? So I wanted to separate myself, but just to tell you what separates everybody, it also makes it a lot easier for us to do what we do. Because you got to realize these people coming in that think they want to be actors, if they don't have the right coach or the tenacity, they're fucked. Because what happens is when you go into an audition room, you see 10 to 15 other people that look just like you.
Mm-hmm.
You're like, what the shit? Then, like you say, you just drove. If LA, you got to get to Santa Monica. You left an hour early to get across town, which took you X amount of time. That's another thing. Then you get in the room. There's this woman or man that looks like they could care less if you're there. You got to impress them. You got to show up.
Yeah.
Do you know how much it takes to do all that, to get dressed, get in your car, go across town, see people that look better than you, worse than you, somebody who's already on a series there, like, why are you even here? Can I get a job? You're on a series, bro, and I just saw you in 5 commercials. Go away.
Let me have a chance.
Yeah, you know, so you see all those things, and it was one of those things where you gonna have to shit or get off the pot.
Yeah.
Because you're gonna get tired. You're gonna get tired of wasting your time. Like, what am I doing? Why am I not booking? And that is where that desire to be better, to grow, comes from. And guess what? Those agents, casting agents back then, oh, they wasn't fucking around. They'll call your agent. They'll call your agent, be like, he's green, please don't send him back over. You're like, what? They would send them the notes. Like, casting agents used to be brutal. So you didn't want to get dropped. So the desire to be the best, the desire not to just keep auditioning is different. I don't feel like people really care now. I've had multiple people that are supposed to self-tape with me because they see what I do, they see my work, and say they're from out of town or wherever. And they'll get caught up in, you know, Scottsdale, Old Town or whatever. And they're like, I'll just get it done Monday before it's not due until noon. So they're gonna wake up, think they're gonna have a good time, try to knock that thing out in their living room.
Yeah.
You would never do that if you had to go show up.
Yeah.
You would never do it because you don't want to be hungover driving. You don't want to have to see the people that you know. You see what I'm saying?
It creates like a laziness aspect. I've even felt that, like, when I have in-person auditions versus self-tapes, the amount of times that I've procrastinated the self-tapes, I'm like, it'll take me 5 minutes to set up the camera, it'll take me this, I could just do it on the wall, versus like, if my agent sends me an audition tomorrow to go to, I'm preparing like 2 days ahead of time.
So you're an actor too. You didn't tell me. Are you an actor right now?
Oh, yeah.
You didn't tell me that.
Yeah, acting. So acting and film is my main career.
Okay.
I thought that you.
No, we didn't. No, we didn't cover that.
Yeah, no, I've been professionally acting in Arizona for going on 3-4 years now.
Okay. Shit, you definitely go see. This is supposed to be we'll get to this later, but the March 15th workshop is going to be huge.
Okay.
Like we'll get back to that. And I'm gonna get very serious about this because I know what I can do. I've already done what some people couldn't. My agent has come here. My manager has come here. John Simmons, the person who coached me, and I don't ask people for nothing.
Yeah.
My dad said, you don't ask for what you don't deserve. People will never say no. Don't ask for something you don't deserve.
Right.
And I've done the work. So none of them have ever said no to me. And they've come here and they said, if you build it, I will help you. My agent said, you bring somebody to me, I will see them. My coach said, everybody said it. The level is not up because people aren't deserving of what they're asking for.
Yeah.
LA, you can call it what you want to call it, but it's some dogs in LA. It's some dogs in LA. You want to see some girls that can act, some dudes who can act? You don't want to play with those kids. You want to go to New York? It does have this thing about it, but it has it for a reason because, and I'll let you get it back.
Yeah.
You ever heard what people say, who are you trained by? That was the biggest thing. People go to Juilliard or they want to go to Howard Fine, and people would look at the back of that resume because they didn't have time for bullshit. Why even see your work? Who are you trained by? Because everybody said they're an actor. Everybody don't say they could play the piano. Everybody don't say they can sing. But everybody say they can act. Just because you got a voice, just because you got skin, a heartbeat, and you can laugh.
I know how to get angry on command. I know how
you
to.
See what I'm saying? And that's where that bravado, even to this day, that I have, that real actors have, because we do the fucking work and we dare you. Because we do the work. Yeah, maybe you can get a laugh, but can you do it again? Can you do it again? Can you do it with the makeup person coming over here? Can you do it with the lady saying, hey, well, you said this last time, and say, can you say that? What? You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That's the craft.
Yeah.
And that is where we separate ourselves, us real actors, from the rest of it.
So I want to know about your first time, because you said you started in theater. That was your first experience of acting. Yeah. I want to know your first experience of on set, because those are two very different things. Being on a stage in front of people, I grew up a professional dancer. So I grew up performing physically in front of tens of thousands of people. And then, but that experience, going from that to on camera, having a giant lens in my face, having someone quiet on set, dead silence, and then boom, it's your time to perform. Two very different things. One of them has more people, one of them has less people, but for some reason, that production seemed just like everything, like the pressure was even more almost.
Right.
But for you, I want to kind of, especially with being on bigger sets. I mean, from Shameless to, I saw a Lil Dicky show that you were on.
Dave was
Dave.
a big one. FBI's Most Wanted was a big one.
Yeah.
I've got a list of them. Yeah.
I want to hear about like your experience of like being on set like that.
So what I will say is that being on that stage, nothing will be ever as instantly gratifying. Ever. It's a certain kind of adrenaline that I still yearn for, because that passion you have with somebody, and when you can't mess up and the people are coming to you right afterwards, it's like every night was the big game. Whereas on TV and film, not to say you want to mess up, but if you can, you know you can do it.
Yeah.
You're not going in there wanting to mess up.
You have a little bit of a safety net.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Now you have a group of people that put all this work in. They have to rehearse.
Right.
We really don't have to rehearse like that, film and TV. We do our jobs at home. You should come to set prepared. So having that love and camaraderie for everybody else, you never wanted to be the weakest link.
Right.
So that kind of energy it's infectious. So you never wanted to fail up there. So theater was always kind of where I started, and it was a great time. But where I wanted to be and need to be was in film and television. And to be honest with you, my coach, I'll say his name a million times, John Simmons, he was so tough on us, man. That's why he has so many stars.
Yeah.
That's why he's got books and books of them. But he said, you practice how you play. He was not joking around. He taught us we felt like we were on set. Like you got to watch your eye line. You got to be doing this. You can't just jump off the line. You don't say cut. You don't say cut. I say cut. Well, I messed up. You don't think, I don't think you messed. I'm the director. And until I say cut, you don't. You just wasted my fucking money. Get off my stage. But it's true.
Yeah.
Because sometimes, even though the line was wrong, it was so organic. We gonna keep that. But you just said, and broke the scene. Now we can't use that.
That's been like one of my first lessons was that. And at first I was like, well, if I messed up, I don't want to ruin everything. But then like once you're on set, it's become such a peeve of mine when I'm working with somebody else that doesn't have a lot of experience and they mess up a little thing like, oh, cut. I'm like,
no.
The fuck did you just do? Like what we had was organic. What we had was going. If the person behind that camera doesn't say cut,
Yes.
that means they see something that we didn't, and that means that they want, like, you don't know what's going to happen in post. You don't know if for some reason what you just did is going to make sense in the
Right.
in the storyline. So the fact that you just now ruined an entire take that God only knows how long we were just filming for, or what we needed to get set up, or anything like that, that's become such a peeve of mine. I'm like, don't you dare, like,
Exactly.
let their job is to call action and cut. Your job is to do the job that they hired you for, which is to perform.
Exactly. And that so things like that, and what that is a selfish actor. And if they're not a selfish actor, that means they're unprepared. Because when you're prepared, when you are prepared, when you've done backstory, when you're living in the skin of a character,
Yeah.
how many times have we messed up or whatever? Did I say, oh, you're sorry, hey, go back? No, I live in my skin. I know who
Yeah.
I am. But that's life. All acting is, and I don't care who you are, where you post this is all it is.
Yeah.
Recreating life in an imaginary circumstance in a controlled environment. Period. So, if you're recreating life, you would have to watch life and see life. And do we not err as humans? So you
Right.
think it's incumbent on you to change the human race because you messed up on your line. You're supposed to be recreating life, and in life we make mistakes. It's human to err. So all you have to do is collect yourself as the character and carry on.
I've heard that before with, like, what is acting, and it resonates so much because literally our job is to tell a story
That's it.
and to make it a believable thing. And that's one of the reasons why I feel like the hump that makes it separate actors from good actors to bad actors is because some people just can't make it believable. Some people overdo it. Like they need to portray anger, they need to portray sadness, but they overdo it or they undersell it. It's like in that kind of situation, you'd be ugly crying. You wouldn't just be shedding a single tear.
Right.
You would be just ugly, just everything all over the place doing that.
What you're explaining there is the stakes.
Yeah.
The stakes were wrong from them. And most of
Right.
the time when this happens to people is because they're trying to act. A lot of my actors and the people that I coach or teach, they're like, well, how do I say this line? How should I say that's what you're asking the wrong question. You should be asking what the relationship is between who and you're talking to. There's no need to say, how do I say this line?
Yeah.
You need to know, you're mad at your mom? Why are you mad at your mom? How long have you been mad at your mom? What did she do? These give you the level of the value. Don't ask me how to say a line. Your heart tells you. This instrument you call a body tells you. That's why they call us an eardrum,
Yeah.
vocal cord, heartbeat. These are all instruments. You just forget that it's a fucking body. This is an instrument. And when you learn how to play it, that's when you see great actors because they can get to emotion, they can get to laughter, and they can't stop it because they've learned how to play their instrument.
So as a acting coach, as an acting teacher out here, what do you think is the most repeated mistakes that, at least in Arizona, I don't know if you did coaching and stuff back in California or if you just started out here, but especially for those who are just getting into it, because I thought I was a decent actor when I first got in until I'd start doing it in front of the coach, and then I'd learn my old coach called them isms, little things that you just repeat without even knowing it
ticks,
consciously,
yeah.
little like doing the sigh, like, why the fuck did you just sigh? I don't understand. Like, what was that breath for?
Right.
And like, why are you doing that thing with your hand? Why are you doing that thing? It's like, oh, I didn't even realize I was doing
Right.
it. And so he called them isms and stuff. And he'd be like,
Yeah.
that's your ism. And you're like, okay. And then makes you almost self-conscious about what your ism is. For you, I'm curious, especially as someone who has been on bigger sets, been around a lot of like the bigger professionals in the industry and stuff, and learned what they do. What are some of like the most like repeated just isms or things that you've seen from actors here?
I would say, and to just answer your question, no. Obviously, when I was in LA, I would have never even tried this because there's a wealth of knowledge there. There's so many talented coaches, so many people that have I would have never even known to do this. I got to this point from failing. I wouldn't even say failing, but I lost my trucking company. I lost over $185,000 in about less than 3 months.
Really?
Yes, it was. I've got a big heart, and you got to realize that people see you doing good, and they feel like if you're doing well, you should be paying them more. They forget you own the company. they forget that you have other bills. So it was a mutiny, if you will, that the drivers were like, I don't know how it happened, but they needed something, and I couldn't take the work truck, so I ended up driving my 2024 Corvette. I usually don't, but now it's like, do I have the boys stay here for an extra day, or do I just bring the stuff they need so they can get out of here? I pay you well, it shouldn't matter.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway, not long after that, they, I was saying they want more. I was like, hey, I can't do it. Like, you guys kind of just got on or whatever. So the drivers were all in kind of places far out. And it was like, if you don't want to pay us more, we're going to just leave the trucks. And I did, and they did. And they left them in places where it was really freezing. So I was always West Coast boy. We had just started doing long hauls. I didn't realize that it could freeze the engine over. It could freeze.
Oh, shoot.
Yeah, and they also like damaged the trucks or whatever. So some of the hit that I took, I just couldn't get back. I'm just a man. I'm not a company.
Right.
So I just couldn't get back. So no. So from that, a lot of drinking, a lot of tears, and I just knew my dad wouldn't be proud of me. So I had to pull it together, but I just didn't know what to do. That was my, I sold my house in L.A., didn't want to live in my properties because that's an investment if you live in it, so I was, got a high rise, and the trucking company was working when I got here. I couldn't foresee it just tanking like that.
Right.
I felt I could fix it. It would be that long, and it just didn't happen. And I was just in bed. It's just like, okay, what can you do? If you had to depend on yourself, you won't fail you, but what are you gonna do? What are you gonna do? You're still an actor. You just did some of the biggest shows on TV. The strike was happening at that time, and we still, you see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I'm an actor. And it was like, well, maybe you worry too much about yourself and need to give. What am I going to give? Knowledge. And that's where it came about. It was like I could teach. There have been so many people who were like, can you help me? Can you help me? And so I did. So that's how the acting thing came about. And this is going on our year. But the isms are what I would say the three biggest things is that vulnerability is the first thing ever. And if you don't want to see it as vulnerability, see it as people worrying about people watching them. It's very weird. And I won't say weird because John taught me. He was like, you think you're pretty. You want the girls. You want to fuck everybody. That's why you'll never be great. You're worried about them looking at you instead of you worrying about what's happening on the scene. You want it to look good. You're going to lose. I find that with a lot of people. They come with their hair done or they make sure their hair's cut. They got the jewelry. Whatever the case is, they don't strip themselves down enough where they don't care what other people are thinking. So if you come here that way, and this is just a small class, what do you think's gonna happen on set? It's so big. So that's the one thing. They can't get to vulnerability or they can't strip themselves down enough to just be in the scene. And you're already not an actor. You're already not a seasoned actor, so why put that extra thing on top of yourself to be trying to worry about what other people are worried about?
Right.
That's the big one. Number 2, people want to move around for no reason. They have no reason to move around, and they're just moving around. Every word they say, they going around, going back. I'm like, why are you running around the stage? It's like, because I just feel like I'm not doing anything.
And?
Exactly.
Maybe this is a thing that you're not supposed to be.
But when you think about it, in life, we only move when we absolutely have to. Yeah. We actually want to be still, if you think about it. Mm-hmm. Even if you're cooking, you're not going to, if you're in the kitchen and you're over there, and then I'm over here, you're not going to stop cooking, come over here, talk to me, go back to the kitchen. No, you're going to maybe turn your head every few times, but you're going to stay in the kitchen.
Right.
Motion, it's very weird how much actors want to move because they're so uncomfortable being still. But if you really look at life, we don't move that much if we're in just these certain environments. If we go to a club, yeah, we'll go to the dance floor, but guess what? After that, you go to your what? Seat or wherever y'all kind of standing at.
Right.
Nobody's just continuously moving around. Actors get so uncomfortable, which once again, not being with the characters, that they just gotta move. They gotta fidget, gotta move, gotta fidget. And lastly, eyeline. I see them all like, who are you talking? Is there a fly in the room? I don't know if they're looking for the line, but you see how we've been this way the whole time. You know how weird it'd be if I were like, yeah, so, yeah, it was weird, man. I lost this trucking company. And the trucking company was, you see what? Yeah, like, what are you doing, man? Like, who are you talking to? And I'll button it right here. It's very, very close to them not being able to imagine. Because whenever if I have a monologue or a scene when somebody's not there, John taught us backstory, and the imagination is, we write. So what did it smell like that day? What color were you wearing? What did it feel like? Was it raining? It plays like a movie in our head. So when you ask the question, when we're in that scene, that backstory leading up to it has given me the fuel. Everything I need was in that backstory. So what you see is not acting at all. I've literally tricked my brain into believing what I saw.
Which is so much more easier said than done. I just did a film that there's a lot of like CGI and stuff that's gonna have to go into it, a lot of green screen stuff.
Right.
And it's like, as kids, we're always make believe stuff. You get a stick, you think it's a gun, you're shooting each other and all that kind of stuff.
Easy, really easy.
But like as adults, we're really kind of pushed into like, this is reality, stay in reality type of stuff. And so like when I'm on that set, it's like you have to imagine that this all is happening and stuff, and you're like, there's a part of your brain that's saying like, what are you doing? That's not real. What are you doing? Like trying to like adultify you almost. But there's that part like, no, I need to bring back that kid brain a little bit. I need to be back in that thing of like, okay, what does a laser look like? What does a zombie look like? Or what would it look like if this was actually kind of happening? Like almost defying everything about yourself to put yourself in that situation.
Yes.
It's so much easier said than done.
But to say that, which is to say why a lot of people don't make it in acting. Auditioning is the hardest part.
Mm-hmm.
Because when you're on set, yeah, you were doing your green screen stuff and that'll happen.
Yeah.
But the other actress is there. If you're running from a dog, you're really running from a fucking dog. If the house is on fire, there's a real fire.
Yeah.
Stunt boys are gonna be like, listen, if you go past that line, good luck. So it's like all those things that you had to imagine before, they're there on set. So it kind of flip-flops. When you're in the audition part, you got to imagine the world, right? Imagine the world, and you don't have the characters. But when you get to the set, you have the world, and now you have to become. There's a difference. You have to become. You see what I mean?
Yeah.
There you're in a box. You got to just be there and imagine it all. Imagine. But when you're on set, you've got to really fucking move now.
Yeah.
It's different. And it's this little part of it. It's this little part that you just did. Becoming something full is a lot different than just that little part. And that's where the imagination is supposed to go through fully.
Absolutely. I'm curious what your preparation process is for, one, an audition, and then two, when you're actually like your first day on set. Like, I know some people, they don't really have a preparation process. They just go for it. But there's some people that they're very routine on like, I do this, make sure this happens. I'm kind of curious how you prepare yourself for that.
I would say that everybody has some type of preparation, because even by not preparing, you're preparing. Somebody still, there's still some stuff. Maybe they don't go as crazy as like a Daniel Day-Lewis or something like that. But
I know I've talked to some athletes before. And obviously, athletes especially have vigorous preparation stuff. Football player going to the Super Bowl, they usually have some OCD-like routine. Baseball player getting ready for the World Series, they're making sure that they're warmed up. Even if it's like ridiculous stuff, like no sex before the game type of stuff, or
it's a rough rule.
Exactly.
That's a rough rule.
Yeah. I don't know. Just random stuff like that they're like, I have to do this, or I don't know. I'm curious as an actor, because I see two different types of preparation that's needed. One for an audition, because the audition, for me at least, is so much different than being on set. There's a different type of pressure. There's a different type of weight that's on you. Because at least when you're on set, you know they chose you. You know that like you got the job. Versus when you're going into an audition, you don't know what's going to happen. You don't know if you're going to mess up a line. You don't know that about
Can I interject there before you say that?
Yeah.
That's where you're wrong.
Okay.
Because the work is done in class.
Okay.
The work is done in class. If you're worried about booking that job, you already lost. You're done. It's not about the job. It's about growth, baby. It's about me building blocks to this castle of my dreams. That's what it's about. And you get that from class. You get that from knowing that I'm good, knowing this. Because if you done your job, yeah, it'll hurt because you didn't get it, but I fucking wrecked it. So you're waiting to see who did get it. So you're like, oh, that's who you hired? Or you like, oh, that's who you hired.
Yeah.
So you see what I'm saying? As soon as if you do your job, it's just like people who are in relationships, right? And they break up. There's one person they'll be hurt, but there's like, fuck it. You know what? I gave it everything I got. I loved her with all my heart. I loved endlessly. I could have done no more. And they can go. They'll still be hurt. But it's the other person who was like, fuck, I lost a good thing. I could have done more. I should have done more. That was so stupid. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That person's hurting, bro. The pain is a whole different type of pain. Same thing when you talk about that audition. It's a different love, man. When you did your job, you know what this thing is. It could have been you too short, too tall, too brown. It had nothing to do with you. And right now you just made a fan in the room in that casting director seat. They put a check by your name. That motherfucker killed it.
Yeah.
We know who we could call. But if you go in and thinking or saying, oh, I didn't, you did. But only you will know that because you've done the work.
Right.
You know what the work looks like. That's what we teach in the studio. Do the work.
I love that. Your preparation process.
Preparation. So it's actually crazy because when I was coming in the industry, the auditions would just kind of come at you in waves. Mm-hmm. So you wouldn't be able to do everything that John taught you and everybody. So I recently came up and my students have it. I teach them that too. It's the easiest way for me to get to where I do. It's a word called hail. All right? H-A-I-L. Hail. First of all, you read it with fresh eyes. And when I say fresh eyes, picture anybody else in it. Whatever you want, but you can't put yourself or anything like that in it because that means you're judging the material. Just read it with fresh eyes, like you're watching a movie or reading a book or something. But hail, honesty. Just be honest. Yes, we're going to have fun with this thing. We're going to make decisions. We're going to do all of these things. But let's talk about the meat and potatoes. I mean, the bones. Let's talk about the bones first. Did people get it? And they automatically want to start throwing their opinions on it before they even finished. Honesty. Second is authenticity. Authenticity, like, what makes this character authentic? What are they doing? How are they living? Da-da-da-da-da. That's second. Next is integrity. The integrity of the character. So does this guy, okay, he's a cop. Does he like being a cop? Does he not like being a cop? Is he a crooked cop? If he's a crooked cop, why is he a crooked cop? Is he a crooked cop because he needs to feed his fucking family, or that just gets him off? The integrity of the character. Everybody's so topical when they do this stuff. There's this thing where people always like, oh my God, somebody got murdered. But you ever notice the murder is not the biggest thing? Why is bigger. The why they did it was all. Why do they have people that know the crime has been committed? You got the dude or the girl, because girls kill too. Girls kill. Let's put that on dudes. Girls kill too. People don't even know it's women jails. You didn't notice they don't even bring up women jails in this motherfucker? You would think women jails don't exist until you watch A&E or some shit. They show a man jail every
Orange
time.
is the New Black?
Yeah. Oh, well, yeah, that's the first time. But, yeah. But they'll have the person in jail, and they will bother this dude till he's about to go to the damn chair saying, why did you do it? Why? Why? You see what I mean? Same thing with that. So the integrity is that why, the why. And last and not least, but it's love. People miss the love in the scene every time. And they miss it the most in anger scenes and breakup scenes and like, maybe this guy's a rapist or a pedophile. They miss it there. You don't, like, he got there somehow. If he was born that way, you don't think that fuck with his head? He knows he ain't the rest is like everybody. Yeah. Is he right? No, but he got there some way. There's a love that you got to find for the characters because that is what uniquely makes us us. Nobody's perfect, but we all get to where we're at because of the road. It's like a rock in a pond. It can make it go like this. It can make it go like that. You understand? Yeah. And that's the road that people don't really find out. They don't want to do the work, and that's why their acting falls short because they haven't dug enough. I forget what I was listening to, right? And it said, so many people want to go travel to see all these different lakes and oceans. They'll go all over to see them and they just aren't fulfilled. But if they went to one ocean, went out into the middle and just said, let me get some scuba gear or have somebody take me deeper, they would see all that they could ever want to see, because there's so much more below the surface. There's so much more. But everybody wants to just see what's there. Oh, this is so beautiful, but not enough. Not enough. Go deeper and see what happens.
Where did you learn this hail?
I made it up.
You made it up.
I made it up. Yeah, so the hail and then the 5 W's. The 5 W's is not so much what I made up because I think everybody has it. But I said the 5 W's just so I can remember, like, what is this about? Who are the characters? What are our relationships? You know what I mean? The five W's. So if you start, before you even start trying to do character work or really digging, if you just start with that, people so many times, one of my students was in a scene and they were at the bar. I was like, what the fuck? What are you doing? Oh, I'm ordering a drink. They're like, hey, can I get I was like, what? It's, hey, excuse me. Can I get that's at a bar. I saw the scene. You're in a club. You can't get when have we ever been able to get a bartender's? You see what I mean? So you didn't do the W's. You didn't say, where am I? The words are very, very important. But when you're auditioning, before you get that part, building the world is just as important. Because if I could build that world, if I can make you see it through my eyes where I am, make you feel, we can do that. We have the power to do that with our words, our body, and beats. You see how I just stopped like that? That's what it is. Got to build it.
No, I definitely, I resonate a lot with that, because anytime that I'm going into a character or like casting even for a character or anything like that, I usually, for myself, and I tell other people, like, you have to build a storyline around it. You can't just take it as what's presented to you. That you might have like a little description of the character from a casting call, but you got to build the rest of the character, and you got to put in the work to be able to be like, okay, well, I know that it's a white kid, about 25, college student. It's like, okay, but where was he born?
Yes.
What was his family dynamic like? What kind of isms does he have? What kind of personality? What kind of quirks? Like, they said they wanted this kid to be a nerd. Okay, why is he a nerd?
Exactly.
What's his passion for being a nerd? What, like, is he, because there's different types of nerds. Is he just academically really good? Is he comic book geek?
Dungeons and Dragons.
Yeah, like, I know plenty of people that are like comic books, but then academically they're shit.
Yeah.
Bad boy. Okay, well, that's a whole nother thing. Is he a bad boy because he has an authority issue? Is he the bad boy that comes from a poverty-stricken family and that just hates the world? Or is it the opposite? He comes from a rich-ass family and hates authority and doesn't...
Backstory. This is all is backstory.
Because that'll completely change the entire dynamic. Like, my first big character that I played, it was this rock star kid who was in high school going up for a talent show and stuff. And I didn't do that kind of work. I was like, all right, cool. I'm just going to play this kid, blah, blah, blah. But then, like, a couple years later, I'm like, bro, I could have, like, done so much more with it. Like, my buddy, he was the original one that kind of got me into acting. He was like, you know what would have been cool? If you would have, like, got a toothpick or something, you had a toothpick in your mouth, and, like, that was your thing. Like, always getting a toothpick. Or, like, maybe you do have a little bit of bad boy essence, but at the same time, like, you're not a dick. You're a bad boy, but you're not a dick.
Yeah.
You got a little bit of that presence to you of this. And I'm like, damn, like, that would have been cool if I would have been able to put that in.
The word, and what happens to it with actors, we have to realize that our lives, there's a question mark on the top of it the whole time. People always allude to me being so, I don't know, like, not, I won't say put together because I'm crazy, not in that way, but I speak with certainty. There's no doubt when you hear me speak. I am who I say I am. I do what I say I'm going to do. Yeah. And if I fuck up, I'll say that. But I never waver with it. Every actor should try to wear that, because when we're going into these characters, when we're not getting a job, we're getting told no so many times when people are like, what are you working on? It's like, there's a question mark. There's so much doubt in just what we do. There's so much that we can't control. So when you're in life, make a decision. Be specific. And that's what people miss. They don't fully give to a character. They'll get it, but they won't be specific with their decisions. Those things we can control. That's why my characters are dynamic. That's why I'm dynamic. Anything I can't control, it's a wrap now. Because that thing I still can't. I've been doing this for over 23 years, and I'm still looking there. I feel like I just got started, and my resume is nice. Now I got this acting class. Now I'm a leader. I got people not only looking up to me, but I've told them, if you follow me, I'll guarantee you. Well, how will you do that? Because I'll make it myself. I've done it. I did a docuseries called Tell Me Where to Go. I flew a team out to Oakland and just talked about how the city was just being kind of like, just like literally taking like a newborn baby.
Yeah.
It's just like from the Raiders going to Vegas. This supposed to be the worst team in the NFL at the time. Who spends that kind of fucking money on the worst team? Then the Warriors go out of there. It's a money grab, bro. Like Oakland is right across the bridge from San Francisco, and at that time, San Francisco was full up. That's when the big boom was with the tech boom. So how do you take the soul from a city? Take their teams. You take it, and they know. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So nobody saw that. So I did a whole docuseries on it, but I produced that. I directed. Steph Curry's Unanimous was looking at it. HBO was looking at it. And we had people looking at it. I created that. So now, you just kind of get in your head. It didn't work out. They didn't pick it up. And you're like, oh, fuck it. And then I just start going back to my own shit. But now that I've got a crew of people behind me, these actors, I'm here in Arizona where there's nothing but a wealth of money. I've got it all here. I'll do it myself. We can start small. We'll do short films, put them in film festivals. After that, we'll go a little bigger. We'll get it done. We're about the talent. You be talented, and we'll get the right team of people. Watch.
I'm also curious about some of the specific characters that you've done. If there's any specific, like, super memorable ones that you had to reach into parts of you that you never thought you would have to, or that you would have to portray something that, like, was just absolutely insane.
Done. FBI's Most Wanted.
Yeah?
FBI's Most Wanted. And not only that, yes, I've had some great characters. Like Dave was hilarious, and I don't think I'm a comedic person at all.
Yeah.
But they just kind of allowed me to be me. But hands down is FBI's Most Wanted, because this is the first time that I got to be a full character. Usually, you get bits and pieces, and it's all over the place. This character was a very, very famous basketball player. Think of like a LeBron. That's the level I was on. You got me, I'm in a G-Wagon, I got to drive. You see me in my house. I've got a beautiful wife, kids. They got me doing interviews. It's like this episodes or whatever it was just dynamic in every way. And when I was doing the audition, it's crazy because I kind of felt compelled. You know how something just draws you? And that's when things get kind of tough as an actor, because when you know you got it, you can feel it. You just like an athlete, how they say they just couldn't remember. They were just like in the zone. That happens. That happens in the auditions room too. But I was in that, and I was like, damn, I want that. And you should never want something so bad, because that'll make you quit the industry, because you know you're doing good or whatever. Do your job, go home. Do your job, go home. When it's your time, it'll be. Just do it. But the reason why is because the basketball player, just like football players, can get CTE because they hit their heads on. They don't have a helmet on at all. Right. At all. How many times have you saw a basketball player hit their head?
Oh, yeah, especially like when they're going for a dunk or something and they fall off.
Right, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, my character had CTE, and this was a time where it was going crazy. It was like the NFL was thinking about stuff, and they're talking about all the stuff. So it's very high end. People interviewed me, and I went, and the character ends up killing his wife, but he has it, so he doesn't even remember that he did it.
Oh, shit.
And nobody thinks he did it or whatever. He literally went to a trance, snapped in, and didn't have to snap back out of it. So they interview him and everything. And that my character, you would have never thought I did it. That was one of the biggest and best times that I really got to emotion with the character. And I had my kids or whatever, and they're asking about the murder. And it just clicked, boom. And I'm shaking and shit or whatever. So you would really think like, okay, well, he's good.
Yeah.
Because of just that energy. Then I snapped again, end up killing my agent because of, you get in these fits and rages. Anyway, by the end of the thing, like this, there's a full character scope. And at the end, and a crazy story, they wanted to do this at like a high school or something arena.
Okay.
But they saw how well I done. They saw me spit hot fight. It was like, yo, he's got it. They're like, yo, we want to pay you a little more, but we want this thing to be an arena. That's the work that you've done. We're gonna have to back it up because the arenas have people that are playing, so you just can't switch them out.
Right.
So we gotta bump it about a week or so out. You can stay here, or we can fly you back home. I was in New York, so it's not like I could just do that. They took it. The hotel and everything was beautiful. I had the per diem. I had a driver. Oh, yeah, it was nuts. But yeah, and then that last scene that they want, I commit suicide, but initially I had brought my kids there to take them with me. And I had been playing with these little kids like all day so I could be comfortable with them. These little kids they were so talented. I was so lucky to have them.
Mm-hmm.
They just made it so easy. And then just looking in their eyes, like you say, if you just give over to the character, just don't, like, I hate to quote Bruce Lee, but don't think, feel. Don't think. The minute you start thinking it's a wrap, just be. And if there was any time I needed to be or wanted, you're on set, what are you thinking about? You've done the job. You won. Where else should you be?
Yeah.
This thing can take you to another place if you do your job. Who can see this and do that? And my character lets the kids go, ends up killing himself, but you could just see in my eyes, in the character's eyes, that he didn't mean it, that he was really in pain and was like shook to not understand what was going to happen and what his kids was going to have to go through, because they're going to know that their father killed their mother at the end of the day, and that's what he didn't want them to go through, so he's going to try to kill them. So yeah, that was one of the best.
Oh, that's heavy, bro. That is insane. Which, for a character like that too, one of the biggest things that kind of resonates with me, or that clicks with me, is the fact that as the actor behind it, what actually happened, but you have to act like you don't. The fact that like you had to play someone with CTE that didn't remember what happened, that he didn't even think that he did it. And you have to make the audience believe that you didn't do it. Even though you've read the script, in the end of the script that you did it. So it's almost like you have to almost trick yourself during playing it.
It's called hindsight 2020.
Yeah.
Hindsight, and it's backing into the scene.
And that's something that I think is underestimated, because I've had to do that too, to where it's like, you did this, but you have to make it not only seem like you didn't do it, but make them believe that you didn't do it, because that's just the way the story is. And like, just kind of going through it, doing whatever the action is, killing someone, stealing something, anything like that, during it, and be like, shit, I actually did do this, but how do I play this in
But
that
in the
way?
moment, like when you do the work in the way I train my actors, and you'll see if you come to the workshop or if you come to the audit, I promise you, I don't, let me say my manager's name, Rachel Rothman. I've been with her for over 17 years. She's the reason why my career is where it's at. Agents come and go, but my manager, Rachel Rothman, she's been my heart for a very long time. But John, he always taught us, all the work that I'm teaching you to do, beats, turns, backstory, I'm only doing it so you can jump the fuck off the plane. You got to forget it all.
Yeah.
If I catch you trying to do a beat or a turn here or a turn there, it's only a blueprint. So you telling me if you got a blueprint and there's no danger and the blueprint tells you to go all the way there to get to the water, but you can see it and there's no danger, you wouldn't just go get that water?
Right.
That's how we train. We train just so we're prepared. Just like in sports. Yeah, the play is supposed to go like this, but if somebody knock your ass off your route, what you gonna do? Stop?
No.
You gotta find a way.
Yeah.
And that's how we train. So what you just said, I don't even when I'm doing the work on that day, my brain doesn't even see it anymore. It sees it as fresh, I promise you. And you'll see it in my acting. It's just like that. It's weird when you do the work, how you can throw it away. How you can throw it away. How you can throw it away. Especially if you're in the moment. It can happen. It's that easy.
There's one thing that you said that just triggered something that's a repeated question, not only that I have, but that other people ask. And that's the whole thing with agents versus managers. People get confused on which one to focus on getting first, what the difference is, what they do. From my understanding, because I have an agent. I don't have a manager, but I have an agent. From my understanding, a manager is more of a mentor. They're with you. They build the relationship with you. They guide your career a little bit. You almost, in a way, don't need as much of an agent if you have a good enough manager from my stuff. Because they'll send you auditions too. Mm-hmm. The agent is just there to send you auditions. Just there to have you as a roster so that way the big productions, when they need someone, they don't have to put an open casting call out to 7 million people. They can go to a specific agency and be like, hey, I need this. Versus a manager is someone that you build that relationship with. Like you said, you've had the same manager for 17 years. I'm sure, though, you haven't had the same agent for 17 years.
No.
And that's the thing that I know that being out here, the first thing that we hear about is like an agent. Oh, cool. If I get an agent, I've made it. Everything is peachy. Everything is easy now. I'm going to get auditions like crazy. They don't even, I didn't even know what a manager was until a year after having an agent. I was like, wait, so you're telling me that this isn't coming from an agent. This is what a manager does. Well, how do we get a manager then? So I'm curious from your perspective.
The first things first, do the work. Especially here. Mm-hmm. I've bumped into some agents, and I've bumped into actors that say have agents, and they come to my class. I said, you're signed? To who? Hey, to who? I wouldn't sign you to wash my car. You terrible, bro. And listen, I'm brutally honest because this industry doesn't care.
Right.
I have to coach like this because guess what? You're not going to care how I tore you down because once I tear you down, that's where I can actually begin to build. But if I blow smoke up your ass or tell you lies of what people have been doing that your whole life, do you want to work or do you want to be a professional student?
Right.
We're adults. Come on, man. We can get there because we can have fun, but you're paying me for a reason.
Right.
I'm here where I'm at for a reason. Anybody can book a job. Greatness is done over and over and over again. But to answer your question, a manager, ideally, at the root, is supposed to manage a career. A novice, a beginner, shouldn't be thinking about a manager. A manager is supposed to be there to manage a career. Okay, they're on a series, they've got a movie, but guess what? They've got this audition, he's on set, let me make that call. You know what, that he couldn't get into there, let me take them to dinner, see if I could get that call. A manager goes 10 times harder for you to get you in the rooms. You know what, we love our agent right now, but we're not in love with him, and you just did Shameless. Should we think about, that's a manager. This was a manager career. A novice or a beginner shouldn't be thinking about one. But here's the aha. If you're talented first, good looking, character actor, really heavy, but if you've got an it factor, and that's all, but talent's got to be first.
Yeah.
But it doesn't have to be beauty. The it is it. That's the aha. That person needs a manager. Because that manager can cut the bullshit so they're not getting fucking worked out or getting exhausted and end up quitting.
Right.
A manager will see that factor. They will see that they will see that they've got it. Okay, I got you. Let's go. And they're going to invest the time, sometimes some money. You're going to have to give it back. Get you some headshots, get you some coaching, because they see an investment. Mm-hmm. That's what it goes like. That's how it happens. But other than that, no. Manage there to manage. If you don't have a career with it managing, you're just losing another 15% of your money.
I like that.
Now that's 25%. Government, and that's another reason why I left LA. 20 to 25% is going off top to your agents and your managers, right, if you have it. Another 20% or so is going to Uncle Sam. So if I made $45,000, which I did on FBI's Most Wanted, I'm lucky if I saw half of that. Plus, I'm a single man. The business of acting.
Yeah. So you probably, maybe 20 of that is what you get to pocket.
Maybe.
And that's, you still got to make sure bills are paid and all that kind of stuff.
It's another thing. You also, this is not, I don't know. Hey guys, I'm not being this way, but I don't know a lot of very, very successful Arizona actors, but we're going to get there. I made you the promise. It's crazy. If I had been incorporated, I lost a shit ton more money because I was in New York. I had to pay New York's taxes. Where if I had been incorporated, the business, you're going to learn.
Yeah.
Like acting is a great, great thing and you love doing it, but it is a business like anything else.
That's a big thing that especially Arizona people forget. Like, I feel like there's a mentality of charity for it. And I'm like, no, we're in this because it's a career. It's a business. Whether it's a short film, whether it's a feature film, commercial, like, we're doing this because we want a career out of it. It's not just, like, we have passion for it. We loved doing it. Are we going to take on some roles for free if we need to? Yeah. Because we love it.
If it's the right one.
Yeah, if it's the right one.
But it's a job. Like I said, at the end of the day, it's a job. And I think that people just don't factor that in. Yeah. They're so in awe of the thing before they get in. And I think that's why a lot of people quit too, because you'll be on a set and I guarantee it could be your favorite movie. Yeah. If you don't take 99, you're not happy. Trust me. We've done this 99 times. Why would I want to do this? You see what I mean? Mm-hmm. So, and that's why I'll say across the board, John Simmons all of his students, we kind of dodged the bullet with all those things because he taught us all of those things. How to be on set. He taught us when you're on, do extra work. When you're on set, listen. All this stuff that he just kind of was like, if you want to be that kind of celebrity, that big star, these are the things you have to do outside of just the acting.
I love that.
We good, man.
Romeo, what?
We got 2 minutes on this one.
We got 2 minutes?
55 seconds.
Okay, cool. Is there anything specific that we didn't touch on?
No, you know what? The interview was amazing. I would say if you dream, be a part of my team. If you really want to do this thing, come up. We got the workshop March 15th. That's huge for me. And all it takes is everything you got. It's a lot easier to get in, but it's harder because you don't want to put in the work. All it takes is everything you got.
How can people find you?
All or Nothing Acting Studio, baby. AON Acting Studio. Follow A.O.N. Acting Studio, or just follow the website, All or Nothing Acting Studio. And I'm really going to tap in with you a lot more because even though I'm new here, I'm not new to this game. So if I start making connections that we're making, I think we'll be all right.
Sounds good, brother.
We'll be all right.
Awesome.
March 15th.
Let's go. Awesome, man. Appreciate you.
All right, brother.